Hello, can you hear me from behind the microphones? The data projection system is operated from the lectern in the training briefing rooms. Find the control panel below the lectern shelf. There is a touch screen which may be blank. Touch the screen to activate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the thing that after you've been thinking about,
I have got a one.
What's wrong with your mic?
Nothing.
Is anyone going
No, that's all right. I
live?
was just
Can
having
we know when people are going live so that no one sees anything they
Mine's
shouldn't
feeding
say?
back, if that makes sense. We're not live.
But you're not live.
we're
right?
not living, we're
Yeah.
just...
When people go live, let's know so that no one sees anything they shouldn't
Yeah,
say.
we're live recording.
You're live now.
Yeah.
I'm live. I'm live.
Do you need a test, Charlie?
No, I was just taking.
Oh, you're just taking a test. Thanks.
I've seen it before. I said, no, I was just taking this. You don't know.
And then you realise, yeah,
So we have a rule in the gallery now.
stay strong.
Bit close. No.
Oh, you want it real close?
Thank you. Yes, stay there. Thank you.
Where's when you have makeup on and your nose starts to run?
I know.
Yeah, I know. You feel it, don't you?
I need to feel it.
Yeah, but like, you can't have a good flow.
So when it comes to John, do you want to share it? When it comes in, do you want me to let you down a bit so you can actually pick up and come into the door and stuff?
Do you get Charlie's one?
Can't be.
question is, can I read my own writing? Okay, if I get one, I'll do much.
No, you've got a loud voice to me.
No, she won't. Something like, well, Twitter's saying, yes, that will make John Key.
I was thinking something along those lines.
You guys good to go?
Yes.
Okay, so let me start by saying, obviously I'm naturally a little bit disappointed that the flag didn't change tonight, but I think there's a huge amount that New Zealanders can be very proud of. For a start off, we had a record turnout in the number of people who posted their ballots back and returned them, 2.2 million New Zealanders. By the time the final votes are counted, nearly 1 million New Zealanders will have voted for the new design, and that shows you that it had widespread support. That the polls were in fact wrong, it was much closer than actually everyone predicted. We also think as a country had a nationwide discussion about our flag, about nationhood, about what we stand for. And I think that's been an important discussion we not only should have had, but must always have. I don't think we should shy away from the fact that we should have a discussion about contentious issues just because they are by nature contentious. I think for me personally, I'll now be supporting the current New Zealand flag. I've always said that. I've always supported in the past. I believed in change. But I think what this process has shown over the last 3 or 4 months is that as a country we can get out and fly our flag, we can use it, and we can show the world how proud we are of New Zealand. So my only request to New Zealanders now would be to rally behind the flag that's been chosen by the majority of New Zealanders, to go out and use it, to wave it, to be proud of it. And to celebrate the fact that we've got an amazing country.
How did you feel when you found out the result?
Well, as I said, naturally a little bit disappointed, but I always knew it was going to be a very tough thing to get more than 50% of people to vote for change. I always thought there was a chance of that happening. As I said, the result was much, much closer than people predicted. I mean, all the polls that came out were pretty much 65-25. So, when you think that number moved dramatically probably in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Look, like anything in life, sometimes getting 50% of people to agree to change is possible, but getting them to agree on the particular thing they're changing to is never going to be easy. But I think this is a flag that nearly 1 million people will have voted for in the final analysis.
Given how close it is, what does that mean though? Does that mean, do you feel like there is momentum for change in some way or another going forward?
Well, I think a lot of the arguments that those who wanted change put up were accepted actually by a lot of New Zealanders, that fundamentally we haven't used our flag as much as other countries do, and we should do that more in the future. Secondly, I think there was an acceptance by at least an awful lot of New Zealanders that the silver fern's a really important symbol. I mean, what you have to say is that people on the final analysis, on a majority basis, decided that they thought that our history as a British colony and the Union Jack fitted better and sat better with us than taking a step into a world where we would have the silver fern. That wasn't my view of things, but I respect the view of New Zealanders, and I think it was a healthy debate to have. It's about democracy. There'll always be some people that say don't have the debate or don't spend the money. But as a country, actually, we've got to have those debates. We're evolving, we're young, we're new, and we're doing well in the world. And I just think, you can't shy away from having a debate or a discussion about nationhood. Sometimes at different points in our future, we've got to do that.
So do you have no regrets at all that you embarked on a $27 million process and it's come to nothing?
Well, I don't think you can say it's come to nothing, actually. Nearly 1 million people have voted for change, as said, dramatically up from the polls that we first saw. As a country, we've had enormous discussion. I mean, probably every school child in New Zealand's had a discussion about the flag and what it means. And actually, on a majority basis, we've done something that no other country in the world has done from what I can see. We've actually asked our people, do they want to change or not? And they've settled on the view that, on a majority basis, that they don't. I mean, yes, there's some expenditure involved, but as I said during the campaign, firstly, we already have a referendum process. I mean, on a sort of current dollar value, Winston Peters spent about the same amount of money on a referendum on compulsory super and lost it 92% to 8%. We've had quite a number of referendums in the time that I've been Prime Minister, and we'll have others in the future because we have citizens-initiated referendum legislation, and I think it should stay in the books. I think people should have the right to test things for a referendum if from time to time they want to. Just because it may not have achieved the outcome that I would have wanted doesn't mean it hasn't been a worthwhile process.
But like it or not, people will see this as a legacy project, and basically it's tainted the legacy to some extent.
Well, no, quite the opposite. I always said that wasn't the case, and that's what I strongly believed. In the end, as I said, a few days ago, I can't tell you the Canadian Prime Minister when they changed the flag. I can just tell you they changed the flag. I can tell you that dozens and dozens of countries have. I can tell you that no country's done it through the process that we have of asking their people. And so, in the end, we took that step, didn't quite get there, but it's still a healthy part of our democracy.
How much do you think it's about people didn't like the option that was given to them, that they wanted change but they didn't like that flag?
I don't know. I mean, there'll always be some people in that camp. I mean, I've met people in the last, 2 or 3 months have said to me, I want change, but I'm not going to vote for that particular flag. I don't like the design. Equally, I think there were a lot of people who finally picked up the ballot paper and looked at the two alternatives and said, look, I'm going to vote for change. Familiarity certainly helped. I think a lot of people, when they saw the flag flying, thought, actually, that looks pretty cool. And, you got to say it's a lot of votes swung. I mean, if you look at all of the polling that came out from the TV channels and the newspapers, the best you could find was that the new proposed flag wouldn't get more than about 25-30%. In fact, it polled a hell of a lot more than that. A record number of New Zealanders returned their ballots in a postal ballot. People were engaged in the process, and that's a good thing. And as I said, if we're going to shy away from having those things, because sometimes you might not get the right outcome, we'll never have discussions about things that are important to our country.
It seems to have polled the highest in National Party strongholds, Selwyn, King Country, Bay of Plenty. What does that say?
Oh, I think it means people, there will always be probably a degree of split on party lines. I haven't had a really good look at it, but it looks like there's a little bit of that. That was a known factor. In the end, Labor and the Greens had as a policy, particularly Labor, as a policy to go to the election to change the flag via a referendum. We had always embarked on trying to do this process on a cross-party basis. I never saw it as a sort of political issue. I just saw it as an issue about what flag would best represent our country. But in the end, look, we've had all those debates. You can't be a sore loser about these things. I think you've just got to say that those who want to change put their best foot forward. They gave it a go. It might not have worked, but actually we're a stronger country for it. I hope we get out and fly our flag. I hope we celebrate behind it and unify behind one flag.
Do you think you'll see a new flag in your lifetime?
I don't know. I mean, certainly in my time as Prime Minister, we won't be going back to having another referendum. We gave it a good go. I advocated strongly for it. But you can't say the process wasn't thorough and lengthy and considered. I mean, there were 10,500 people that put in the submission. People got a good chance to vote on it. So I certainly won't in the time that I'm Prime Minister. I'm not a big fan of becoming a republic, so that would be the next probably juncture which you could change the flag. But in the end, that's for future governments and future prime ministers to debate.
How much of a reflection of the fact that we aren't a republic, that New Zealand isn't a republic, do you think was referenced in the flag result today?
It'll be one of the factors, because a lot of countries that have changed their flag have changed because they've become a republic, and so some people would say that's the trigger point at which you should do that. But look, everybody's had probably a personal view about why they've either voted for the current flag or why some people have voted for the proposed flag, and they're many and varied. And that's the way it should be. It's a personal decision. All I said to New Zealanders was, here's an opportunity. Vote for the flag that you like. Vote for the flag that you think represents you. On a majority basis, 1.2 million people voted for the existing flag. We've got to respect that.
You've complained of the similarity between the Australian flag and the New Zealand flag. It's obviously still going to be a problem. Do you have a strategy of how to combat that now?
Well, I'll be vigilant, as I always am when I go to press conferences with Australian Prime Ministers. I mean, look, that position's not going to change unless Australia changes its flag, but we've had a great debate about it, and in the end, I've always believed in a system where we ask the people for constitutional issues. It would be very easy for me to get up and get 61 votes in Parliament and change the flag. But actually, I don't believe in that. I think that's an arrogant approach to constitutional issues. I don't believe you should do that by decree for the length of our parliamentary term, or whether we're a republic, or whether we change our flag. I think people should decide that. We gave them that chance to do that. They've spoken in big numbers, and they've made a call, and you have to respect that call.
You had hopes that we'd see the new flag flying at the Rio Olympics.
Yep.
How disappointed are you going to be to see the old flag flying there?
Well, I'm really proud of New Zealand, and I'm proud of our flag. yep, I wanted the silver fern on it. That's not the case. So I, for one, will be celebrating under the flag, and I'll continue to do that for as long as it's the New Zealand flag.
How much do you think, how many people do you think voted against you personally when it came to them voting against a change in flag?
I just don't know. I mean, look, in the end, there'll always be some people that'll make a call for a variety of different reasons, but yeah, it got a good go. You know, as I say, by the time you count up the final votes when they do that in a few days' time, pretty close to 1 million people would have voted for change. That is so much bigger than people actually thought. So, look, on balance, you've got to say New Zealanders gave it a good go.
What are you going to do with your lapel badge? Is that headed for the bin now? Or are you going
It's definitely not headed for the bin. It'll be a little bit of memorabilia. I keep them from APEC conferences I go to and East Asian summits and other things. So I've got quite a collection, and I'll be keeping that one. But as I said today at my press conference this morning, if it won, I'd wear it. If it didn't win, I wouldn't.
Do you think we'll see a bit of a protest vote with people continuing to fly the Kyle Lockwood flag?
Well, that'll be personal choice. Some people might, but look, I think the situation will return to normal. People will fly the New Zealand flag. I just hope more people fly the flag, because one thing that's been really nice going around the country in recent times is that there's been lots of flags flying, a lot more than normal, and personally that makes me feel good about being a New Zealander. I might have wanted change, but it doesn't mean I don't feel proud about seeing the current New Zealand flag flying, and I'll feel very proud of it when I see it at all the events I go to. I'm a proud New Zealander. I might have thought the silver fern was the right option, but in the end this was about choice and democracy.
A lot less informal votes this time around than the last referendum. Why do you think that is?
Well, in the first instance, some people didn't get a choice about the current New Zealand flag, so they would have just put in their vote as an informal vote to make a protest statement, if you like. But of course this time they had the quite valid option voting for the existing flag.
Does it worry you as the head of our nation that your idea of what represents us as a country is different to the majority of New Zealanders?
No, I don't think so. There are many things that make up what it means to be a New Zealander. I just personally think that the silver fern's been the symbol that we've historically used as the one that's internationally identifiable. And the interesting thing about all the polls have been that they've been very significantly in favour of keeping the current New Zealand flag in New Zealand, although actually the final results have been much closer. And internationally, all the polls have been in favour of change. And that reflects that internationally, people have seen the symbol of New Zealand as the silver fern. In fairness, I've lived overseas for quite a period of time. I suspect if you look at the international voting patterns of New Zealanders abroad, they'll probably have voted in bigger numbers actually for change. So it does reflect sometimes when you're overseas, you feel amazingly patriotic when you're overseas. You want people to know you're a Kiwi, you're really proud of it, and the simple way of doing that is the thing that other people know as New Zealand, that is the silver fern, I think.
When this whole debate first started, you initially liked the idea of a black flag with a silver fern. Do you think if we'd gone with that, that would have won?
Look, I don't know. There was an amazing process. I mean, 10,500 submissions were put in. The committee whittled it down to 40, then they whittled it down to 4, then 4 became 5, and then we got down to a one-on-one. I mean, it's just too hard to know. You can second guess sort of everything. Some people that voted for the Kyle Lockwood design this time might not have voted for, what was, as a symbol we most probably readily identify with the All Blacks. I mean, I don't know. It's just too hard to second guess that.
Now that we've chosen to stay with the old flag, would you like to see that sort of replace the silver fern and be used in things like sports teams and other situations where Kiwis are representing New Zealand overseas?
No, I don't think practically that's going to happen. You're not going to see the All Blacks, getting rid of the silver fern on their breast and having the New Zealand flag. But I'd love to see more flags, being waved at test matches and at sports grounds and lights. And actually, recently you have seen a bit more of that. So we've probably proven to ourselves we can do it. And, I just think it's a sort of statement of the fact that we're, as I said, a young country that's doing well. And, a lot of countries really embrace their flag. They wave it a lot, they wear it a lot, they show the world where they're from and how passionate they are. We, as New Zealanders, are really passionate people, but we just haven't historically, I don't think, used our flag in the same way that other countries have. And as I said, a lot can come out of these debates, and one of those things might be that we just do that a lot more.
With the benefit of hindsight, is there anything you'd have changed about the process right from the word go?
I don't think so. I mean, when I gave the speech back in October, I think it was, or November of 2013, If you go back and look at that speech, personally, I think it was a very considered speech. It went through all of the reasons why it had been there. There had been quite a number of Prime Ministers before me that had advocated for change, most of them Labour. We worked really hard to try and take the politics out of it and make it a cross-party sort of process. We put together an eminent group of New Zealanders and we let anyone put in a design. And I know people say, well, you could have had greater emphasis on a design score, but as I've been saying, I mean, what greater thing could there be for a designer than to put in, a recommendation that became, or a submission that became the new New Zealand flag. So I don't think it's quite as simple as that. I think people, they had their chance, and 10,500 people took it.
Have you had a chance to talk to Kai Lockwood?
I haven't recently. I have, in between times he came over and I got to meet him. I hadn't actually met him before, but I think he'll, he'll probably be a little naturally disappointed it didn't get selected, but he'll be pretty happy, I would have thought. I mean, nearly 1 million people have endorsed his suggestion, and you've got to take some pride in that, I would have thought.
Winston Peters says he was right, that you manipulated the process from the start.
All right.
Even the voting paper was not immune to the government's influence. What do you say to that?
He should get over his 92-8 loss.
Right, see that it goes?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. See you later.
I love this sign off, Katie.
Yeah.